Hey everybody, welcome to the Château de Grifferaie. We're changing things up. We're doing an off-camera intro to the video today. Why, says Leslie?
Why?
Why? Because I'm a mess. I need to put my makeup on. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously though, I am a mess. And we've made some. Oh, what have you seen, Leslie?
Oh, there's a cat. Oh, CAT walking across the back of the property.
Ooh, Mr. Bingley's gonna go crazy if he sees it. So this
he's
video.
over by the restaurant.
I don't see him.
Yeah, he's on the little patio area.
There it is. The sun is going down.
Interesting.
Beautiful as always. We'll go over to the left here too.
Well, the CAT definitely knew to hightail it out.
Yeah.
It's on dog. Funny how cats see dogs, but dogs don't always see cats. What's with that?
Yeah, there's our rental car. Anyways, we've got a great video. Now we're doing things a little differently. And we're gonna try to get a bunch of videos uploaded so that when we're gone, there's still videos coming up every week. And so we got a ton of great content. We've been watching the roof guys working. Mm-hmm. They've been working steady on the front, right?
They have. Well, they've been working.
Pretty steady.
Yeah.
Pretty steady. Still, you know, they're good guys, by the way. And we took
great.
a bunch of time lapse, and the time lapse was pretty cool. And you'll see that what they're doing is hard. Like they're perched up there, so it kind of makes sense that they can't really do 8 hours up there.
No, and I don't know. It's like they use the boards as a ladder.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they literally are just perched on the side, like they're tied off. But yeah, I don't know.
So some great video coming up. And not only that, we have a little, we've been working on a table, and we went to a brocante, and we got a good meal, and what else? That's some other fun stuff too.
Yep.
So enjoy this evening with us, a beautiful evening. We're just sitting out here, and also a couple backyard chats.
What?
I got a couple backyard chats.
Else running.
Oh, let's zoom in.
Because that's Bing. It was white, and it was running like big
Maybe
enough.
it's Bingley.
No, he's over there. He's over there.
Ooh.
What in the
There's
world?
an unidentified animal.
Maybe it's
this is
a
very
rabbit.
exciting. This is high power video right here. Okay, enjoy the video. We'll be back. One of the dangers of having a workspace up high is that things can fall. And it looks like there's been a little bit of rock that's fallen, some wood. So a little bit of stuff already. More significantly for us, it looks like something hit this. This is a skylight down into the terrace, and it looks like it was punctured. How thick that is. Yeah. So hopefully they'll fix that. Looks pretty simple. Just a big, huge, thick piece of glass. I suppose if it's thick enough, it shouldn't break. It is the start of the week, and our roofers are coming tomorrow morning, and we might try to put up a video that focuses on the roofers. So we might try to do some time lapse, watch them working, and maybe I'll go take you guys on a little tour of some of their stuff. So I know I often talk about how the roof is coming together a little slower than we'd like, but when you look at this capture and you watch the guys working, man, it's hard. I mean, they're up perched on the side of a really, really steep, you know, roof. They're climbing it all around. And I am sure that is tiring on the feet, on the hands. And so it's not maybe the kind of job you can do for 8 hours. But they're good guys. They're working hard, and we're definitely thankful for them. Also, doesn't the chateau look cool in the time lapse? You can see the clouds and the sun and the shadows keep changing. It looks one way when it's cloudy, and then the sun comes out and it throws all these cool shadows. I will say that I love the work they're doing on the corners. Check out the corners. Doesn't that look great? Super symmetrical, runs all the way up. Some really skilled labor, it seems to me. And so, of course, they still have the big bin, and they've got a couple of pallets. They got a bunch of big wood for corners and for tops. They run across, and then they've got these. This is maybe even their second batch, maybe their first still, I'm not sure. The horizontal slats. Then walking around this way, you can see that we got some pallets. We got some big pallets here of slate, and they keep having them come. I don't know how many they've had so far, but there's 4 more now. These are expensive too. I looked at they have an invoice there, and I took a look, and it looks to me, if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like they're paying $1 a piece of slate, at least $1. And here we have some tarps. Then this is exciting. These are the skylights. So these look like these are going to be great. Really nice skylights. And good size too, because I have to get through them. So there's going to be at least 4 skylights. If I'm doing the math here, it looks like they got 5. Not sure where the 5th goes, but we'll take it. Then, I don't know what those are. Angled pieces of metal. And we got some of their equipment over in another part of the yard. Here, of course, one of the big rental units. And a couple of other containers of slate. Yeah, and it looks like they've pre-cut these ones with their snippers, probably for the corners, I'm guessing. And some cut off wood. Again, more ones. Now this is if you're new to roofing slate, they have these big, long, very thin ladders, and they lay the ladders down on top of the shingles, the tiles, and then since they're so flat and so light, they spread the weight out, and so you don't break the shingle as you're up there. Now take a look. Wonderful to see this done. You can see, and it doesn't look really prominent right now, but there's a couple like sort of flaws, like little lines here, and so I'm hoping those are either going to go away or maybe they'll just settle down over time. But again, look at those corners. I like those corners. And then we have our nail guns that are the nails that are rusty. I did talk to them about that, and they said, well, it doesn't actually matter because the nails go onto those horizontal wood slats and they're inside, they will not rust. The hooks are stainless, so that's really good news. So that's how they work, right? The hooks basically go sit over the wood thing there, and then, or maybe it's like this, probably. That sits on the wood, and then, it just holds it up. So really, really nice. Okay, this looks like a snipper, I think. Yeah, I bet you they use that to clamp on and break them in line. Over here we have some rolls of asphalt, tar paper, I think. Something like that. I think they're going to put that on the middle valley. So hopefully that will hold. Hopefully that will not puncture. And you see just kind of a couple of miscellaneous items here. They also tack some of the shingles in. Looks like those are stainless, so that's good. Some cutters, a little bit of metal. And I would love to get their permission to use this and go up and take a look. But this is where if you didn't have the language barrier, it might be a little better. And they've been collecting some of the old pieces of metal. Zinc, perhaps. Here's one of the skylights that just came out. Some of these won't be replaced, some of them will. But they're collecting it for, I don't know, for recycles or if they reuse it, I'm not sure. Then, of course, we've got this big guy, which, they've used surprisingly little. They have got it into action lately. Now, I think sometimes they put a big pallet of slate and they put it up there, which makes it a lot easier for them. And then other times they use this device, which, as I understand it, is sort of a garbage that empties out. Well, maybe it doesn't look like it empties. It looks like it just tips. So they can put all the old slate in there and then come drop it in the bin. It's a good idea. It's also a dangerous job. So they have hard hats and climbing gear. And over here, we see zinc and other types of metal. Here you can see our old finish work that's going to sit on top of a good solid layer of zinc, so that should hopefully work. And then, of course, miscellaneous tools. I think we mentioned this in an earlier video, but we have also set up a portable fridge for them that we're running for the few months here, and also a microwave. So it's nice for them to be able to have cold drinks and put their food in. And as well, we got a couple of the toilets working, one for each gender. So with also lockers in case they want to leave stuff here. Our thought is, A, we want to be nice, and B, we want to make it a good experience for them. I'm standing behind the pools right now at this little structure, and you can kind of see how they do the slate. See, the slate comes down, and in between, right at the bottom of each line, you can see the hook. And that hooks the slate on the other side. Kind of nice. Less punctures, less holes, and easier to adjust later if you need to come back and fix something. 6 a.m. and the start of another day. Beautiful sunrise. Let's hope for some good progress on the roof. Here's the guys. They're going up. Whoa. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, this one's even better because you can see I'm actually putting the slate on. The last one, I think they were working with the wood. You know, it's super gratifying when the slate goes on because you just see the progress. Of course, the other days they're working hard too. It's just stuff that doesn't look quite so visually impressive. It's always super fun to come up here and see just the different views, you know, with the roof open and see what's going on. You can see the guys have lots of shingles sitting on the gutter, which scares me more than a little because that metal's pretty fatigued and it'd be easy to see how it could get messed up. It's also easy to see that some of those trim pieces are getting pretty bent. But really fun to see it starting to come up. Here they go. I'll put the time lapse on it again today. But starting to get some shingles on this roof. And you know what? I was giving them a bit of a wiggle and they're on there pretty solid. Like those hooks really do it. I don't know, you know, I don't completely understand how it works, but just maybe it's the interweaving strength, but they're pretty solid. They're pretty solid. Let's come around and take a look at this too. Here's the pediment. Here's the back of that. And then they got the wood, so that's smart. That looks pretty stable. Looks pretty stable. You could create like a little hiding spot in here. Well, that's good. I see they got 3. I didn't realize they had 3 metal bars holding that on. It always seems so precarious, so it's nice to see that there's something there. Yeah, lots of fun. This is another little thing. It's great to see. I don't know if you noticed that in some spots, the roof is actually separated from the ceiling. Like the ceiling, you know, there's a bit of a gap there, which is great because then any, you know, humidity has an opportunity to come up and escape. As you know, the roof is not airproof, so it's easy and it's designed so that the humidity can get out. Here come the guys. Starting a bit early today, probably because it's gonna get hot. Yeah, so this has me a little worried. That's just a lot of weight sitting on these gutters and on these stones. The stones are old and fatigued, and so, I mean, that's a lot of weight. Partly I'm worried that the stones will fall and break, which would be very obvious, but I'm also worried about punctures. So we'll see. All right, this is our final time lapse. The guys are working on the corner there, and it's kind of behind the pediment, so you can only see it a little bit, but still, man, I love the time lapse. Oh, I love it. Look at that corner. It looks fantastic. Get a zoom in here. Get a zoom in. Oh yeah, it looks like $1 million. Love it. A couple people in our last video mentioned that we should leave, you know, the grass was super long before I cut it, and it was a lot of it was going to flower, and so some of you said, hey, why don't you leave it? It's good for the bees, good for the environment, less mowing. And if there's one area that I do that, it would be the area right behind me. I don't know if it's going to translate onto camera, but we have so many varieties of flowers here. We have poppies, we have these beautiful purple flowers. Again, I am not a botanist. I do not have a good sense of it. But we got all these nice little sprigs. And I think there's other colors too. There's yellow ones somewhere. Oh yeah, there's some yellow ones. We got purple and white and red down here. Very tempting to leave this area as a flower reserve. Of course, there's quite a bit more area over there. So, you know, these are not the only flowers in France. We're always making small improvements. We're always trying to, at least. And one of the big ones that's been fun lately is we got, it's actually small. It's a very small improvement, but it's, I don't know, we like it, is we got this bench put back together and set up so that you can just sit here and look at that beauty. It's such a lovely spot. So it's evening, it was Sunday. We had a really nice day today and didn't do any work, which kind of gives you time to think a little bit. And so I had all these thoughts. I thought, oh, I'm gonna go to the old backyard, the back garden, and we can have a little chat, talk a little bit about life. Then as I was getting out there, I realized, oh, I'd already taken out clothes for tomorrow, work clothes, which are not very fancy. And that reminded me of a time yesterday or this last week when I was driving around on the old mower, and I was going out to the front because it was all so bad. And so I'm driving out there. All of a sudden I see a car, and there's a very nice young French guy who's very respectfully parks kind of on the edge of the property and then just walking around. He's not gonna trespass, but he sees me and he comes, and so he's kind of like, oh, hey, do you know about this property? And you know, we start talking about it a little bit, and from Angers, and he and so as we got into the conversation, he said, so do you work here? Are you a worker? I said, I do work here. And then he was also asking who the owner is, and I said, oh, propriétaire, je suis propriétaire. I'm the owner. And he looked at me, and he looked at my shirt and my sweat and my bad hair and my ugly shorts and sandals, and he's like, no, the owner. Who's the owner? And I said, c'est moi, it's me. We had to go back 3 or 4 times before he would believe that I was the owner because I looked so bad. And it's moments like that when you kind of realize, it's good. It's a little bit humbling, and you realize that, and it's no surprise to us, but to own a house like this, if you're not extremely wealthy, you have to be a hard worker, and you have to be willing to get in there and sweat. It was funny. I used to lead a big youth event at Multnomah. It was called Spring Thaw, and we had, I think I've talked about it a couple times. We had like 1,200 kids come out. It was, really popular, and a lot of churches come out. It was great. It was a great high school retreat. And one time, after the retreat was all done, I had a student come up to me, and a really nice guy. And he goes, hey, can I interview you for a minute? Can we just talk about this? He's like, I want to know how you do this. Like, you get all these churches to come, and I think we had 300 or 400 volunteers, different roles. Some volunteers did more than one role, but we had 300 or 400 roles. And he's like, he goes, I'm trying to do this big thing, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get people to volunteer on it. So I'd like to get your advice. So we start talking about it. It's going to be this big interchurch thing he wants to do. And so he starts asking me specific questions. Like he's saying, for example, he goes, for example, how do you get someone to come set up the chairs? Who sets up the chairs? And I said, I set up the chairs. And he's like, you set up the chairs? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, why are you set up the chairs? And I'm like, well, I know when we're running the event, we're going to need 40 or 50 people at all times. And so, most of my volunteers, some volunteers are going to be able to give 2 hours, some maybe 5, some 10 or 20, and then a couple maybe 50 or 70 hours. But you kind of have limited supply of how much people are going to help you and how much are going to work. And so you have to use them in the way that's most important for the event. And there's some things you're just going to have to do. And then he looked at me, he's like, I'm not setting up the chairs for my event. And I looked back at him and I thought, good luck with your event, because if you're not willing to do some of the hard work, do some of the unpleasant servant jobs, it's pretty tough to succeed. Now, I know in the world there's lots of people that succeed, and they're very smart, and they perhaps they've done well for themselves, and so they can hire everything and pay for everything. But most of us, and probably most of you in YouTube land, and certainly us, that's not how it works. You got to be willing to work. In fact, honestly, I think if we interviewed a lot of folks that have been successful and maybe are a little on the richer side, I bet you they worked hard too. Maybe a few of them got the big check from their parents, but I think a lot of them work pretty hard to make it succeed. So you have to be willing to do that. And sometimes you got to be willing to put on the bad clothes. That said, I probably could try to be a little bit more appropriate and carry myself with some dignity once in a while, because we are in France and people do take care of themselves. And so I don't want to embarrass my wife. All right, brand new week, and it's time to get started. Now we got to clean up from the session even. We've been gone since the session was over, and so we're going to work on tables first thing this morning. This table we are going to try to fix. We just put a couple of boards in there to extend it, and they don't look good at all, as you can see here. They haven't been routed or edged, and so it's a hard line. We'll see if we can improve that. Also, later this week, we're gonna go to the brocante and trying to find a bit of a stabilizer, something in the middle, because that's not ideal. Then we still haven't put away the tables in this room, so we'll roll those into storage and get going. Down in the basement in the wood shop, and we're making some inserts for that long table. So the first thing we're gonna do, and you can kind of see we've done it on this bottom one, is we're gonna cut a line. And so we've measured out the line, and we've got our saw here set to very thin, very thin. And so we're just gonna run along the line, and then after we run along the line, we'll take the router, this guy, and it's just gonna take a little bit off. I'll see if I can do a bit with one hand. It's a little bit tricky, but we'll just do a little bit with one hand here. And we'll eventually get the sander out then and follow that line all the way across. See what I'm talking about? Now that we've got that line, we can use the router to go back and forth, and we don't have to worry about making it a bumpy edge because it gives us a bit of a margin of error. So we route it out like that, and then eventually we're gonna come under with the sander and go like this to bring it to the right shape. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday and I'm in the workshop. I am working on the fourth leaf. Again, we routed it out. Oh, it's relatively straight. Of course, these are only going to be under tablecloths, but I wanted to try to match the table a little bit. So they're good, but this one's just 1 inch too thick, or 1 centimeter too thick. So I just got to strip a little tiny bit off. And then they're also too low. So we're going to take these pieces of wood and cut them into smaller pieces and then shim them up so that they're the correct level. It's absolutely fascinating when you own a chateau. Some of the emotions you go through. Like I woke up this morning and I was working on my syllabi for my class. I got up at 6 and I thought, well, I'll get some of that done. And it was good. And I was doing Multnomah stuff. And I'm sitting there for an hour or two working and I'm feeling guilty. I'm like, oh man, I got to be getting out and doing stuff on the chateau. There's so much work to do. And then I thought, I shouldn't feel guilty. I'm working on my day job. Like, this is important work. Then I noticed that yesterday, kind of the same thing. I was, I'll walk around while I'm doing this just so you don't get bored of looking at the wood. Yesterday, I'm out there mowing and I'm thinking, I'm feeling guilty because I'm like, there's so much work to do inside the house. I need to be mowing. And then you come inside and you feel guilty that you haven't, chopped up all the wood that's sitting on the grass. And so in so many ways, it's a mental battle. There's so much work and it's so overwhelming. You just have to really focus on being content and working hard and getting done what you can get done and living with the rest and realizing that it's not going to get done in a day. It's a huge, huge job. And so you have to kind of continually just look at the little progress you've made. Like, for example, I had to go to the bathroom, and instead of running up several floors, I came into this little bathroom that we just did for our GAs. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. That's progress. It's another bathroom. I'm walking by 2 rooms on the left that can be occupied. And I've got a little bit of a wood shop. So, onward and upward, you keep making progress, but I'm telling you, it's a mental game, especially when you're a little bit ADHD like I am.
So normally this room has 5 tables or 4 tables for our students during the session. But during the year, I really love to have one big long table. So it just feels like a regular dining room and I miss that. So Rob's making extensions for in here because we found this at a brocante. However, during session and stuff like that, things were wet, which went through the tablecloth, and now there's any number of blemishes on the table. So I am going to try to get some of them out if possible. There's also a few things on the hardwood over here which have stained the hardwood. So I'm also going to try and get those out. So stay tuned and wait and see how it goes. Well, it's better. These were tough. I had to pull out the iron to bring some more heat. It's not perfect by any stretch. You can still see the marks, but they are less than they were before. So one trick with moisture is to usually take some kind of cloth and use an iron. But in this case, when they're not quite so strong, I'm going to try and use a blow dryer and try to take the moisture out of the wood so that we can hopefully eliminate at least the visual impact of the moisture that's in the wood right now. Let's see if it works. Well, massively better. You can still faintly see the problem areas, but much less worse, thank goodness. And I think I'll move on to a couple other spots over here now that are also quite bad. Well, Bing, what do you think? Not bad, not perfect. Hey, are you looking at me funny? Yes, you are. I have a treat in my hand. So, definitely better. The lines are less defined around the spots. Someone wants a treat. We're going out later. So I had a little something to keep him, tied him over. And so anyway, so better, yes. Perfect, no. But definitely less is better than nothing at all. So I'm happy with it, considering it was a quick little easy fix.
One of the challenges of owning it, especially with what we're doing with having students in, is of course you have 20, 26 people in, and they've all grown up with different, you know, habits and customs, you know, for example, throwing.
They just aren't thinking.
Yeah, like, well, and there's sometimes they're younger or.
So the rule, I think, is going to be I need to get a table pad to go underneath the tablecloths to protect the wood a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think that will help. I don't know where I will find it yet, but we'll find one somewhere. So.
It looks great. We're making progress on this $60 table, which by the way expands to 3.5 meters if we get all 4 of those leaves in. But this is good for the size right now. And again, we're trying to match it. It won't be perfect, but with the tablecloth on, and we'll stain it too. I don't know that, you know, it's probably still not going to be visible. But so the next job is to kind of get the pencil here, and you can see I need to do a little more sanding to match that. The worst one is right here. I mean, it's not worse, but it's just I haven't sanded it yet. So you see, we'll get the sander out and we'll line that up. Boy, that comes in a bit there too, so we'll have to see what we can do. But we got it all shimmed up so it's the right height now. And then of course we'll run some boards across the bottom to hold it secure. And where there's a will, there's a way. All right, here we are, our favorite brocante, the Brocante Valley Beaufort. Got a statue, kind of matches Our Lady. 180. This is kind of cool too. Oh, super nice. Let's see a price. Leslie's found something. Let's see it, Bess.
So if you want boiled eggs, you put your boiled eggs in here, and each little bird comes out with your salt and pepper. Isn't that cute?
How much?
I don't know, 40, I think. There's probably was 4. Now there isn't, but very cute. Like, we just don't buy things like that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Trying to figure out what this is. I think it's a big bellows.
It is.
Massive bellows. Like it shoots air.
I know, but what kind of fireplace? Oh, it says on it.
Massive.
Something on a table.
I
don't know, actually.
I'm a sucker for a candelabra.
Huh? Actually, I think it goes like that.
Another little find.
Yeah, it's cute.
What is it?
Well, they're little swords that I think you'd probably use for hors d'oeuvres, you know, like we did at the rehearsal dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they cute?
Cute. How much?
$3.
$3.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Given how expensive those little pans for wood-fired pizza are, like they're often 40, 50 bucks, 20, 30 in the States. I'll sometimes look in the brocantes to see if we can find an old one. That one looks a little too thick though. All right, looking for my base for my table. Got a couple little guys here, but they look a little bit expensive. I thought about putting one of these under it, but I don't think Leslie's gonna go for that. That guy looks cool, but he's much too short. And then I think I saw an option over here. These are about $70, $80. The right height. But then around the corner, this one might be our guy. That looks good, eh? It's a nice base. Kind of ashamed to take the top off, but that's how it goes. The price, you ask? Can you read it? €30. We've also found some good beds here over times. But then I saw this guy. Oh, that's a nice chair. Wait, what's that? Yeah, I don't think so. Nice little mirror. Fun. It needs to have a little water feature. Even something like those tiles, which are what we have upstairs on the servant level. You know, if we needed to do another floor, we could pick some up. You know, if that was cheap enough. Every year students ask us if we have any like weights or anything like that. We do have a room that we're gonna make the exercise room, and that's sort of an all-in-one. Pull down, you know, push-ups, pecs, and legs too. I should ask what the price is. And what about this? Remember we have that Roman well? Wouldn't that be fun to put this over top of it? That'd be fun. Just picking up some stuff at Lidl. Bouquet of roses. $2.29. Vive la France. Go see. 19-cent croissant. 45 cent croissant. Probably tastes a lot better than the $6 croissant in America. All right, we got our center leg we're gonna use. Again, €30. Really good deal. And also we picked up, actually it was €30. It was 30% off, so it was 21. And also a nice little mirror, which was also 30% off, so less than 100 bucks. Super fun. All right, building our table. Now, it seems like all furniture in France, it all comes apart. And so to get it in the car, we could easily take it apart, which is great. And then we're just spinning it on. Let's get it tight. Furniture in France at a brocante is always fairly cheap, but the reason this is $30 is because the edges are cracked. Of course, that's not a problem at all for us, since it's going to be sitting right under that table and no one will see it. And even more fun, Leslie let out a small squeal of joy, which is not very Leslie, when she opened up the drawer and realized that there were some old notes in here. Kind of fun. And then I went to the other side. She hasn't seen this yet. And opened it up. And not only are there notes, there's also a beautiful leather-bound book, which I believe is a Catholic worship book. It's not a Bible, but it has some interest. I don't know. I don't exactly know yet, but it looks it definitely looks religious. Something to do with worship, as well as perhaps stamps, a letter, and some kind of fun old card bookmarks. Yeah, yay. I said 30, but really it was 21 euro for this. Crazy. Fits like a dream. Right inside the supports. We're gonna pop those things on, screw them down. And it's like we got a middle leg for our table. All right, we got a table. It's way more secure. I can barely wiggle it that way. So that base looks fantastic. Leslie says it almost matches. And we'll get a tablecloth on there, and hopefully you won't be able to tell. It's a $60 table and not a $3,500 table like the one at the auction. And there it is. And there it is. Man, finding a tablecloth, it's really quite wide. It's 1.37 meters wide, so it's a really wide table. Right now we got it set up for 10. You could easily do 12 with 2 on the edges. Leslie thinks if we put the other lead in, 14, maybe 16. But it's unlikely we'll ever have students around this table. This is more of an off-season table. And for the breakfast room. So, you know, hey, good news, I can leave our 2 long tables in the classroom where they belong. Okay, I don't know that we've ever shown this space. You've, of course, seen the classroom. You know, beautiful room that this is, beautiful views. And then you can see I've got some storage stuff out here. We have kind of the turret down here, which is actually set up to be a bathroom, but right now we're just using it as a storage room. It's, of course, very old, and I just finished vacuuming. It had been, I don't think I've ever seen the room clean, actually. We rarely come in here, and we store our scaffolding in here, and we're also gonna put the tables in. And it, by the way, opens up to the orange room, so it could be a powder room someday or a little bathroom. There's a little closet, got some stuff in here, but you can see it's plumbed for a toilet. Now that'd be a small little compartment, but I think it would work. And as you can also see, you know, there's been some work up there. So it'll take a little work to get this room done. Look at that, there's a cavity behind there, eh? It's kind of cool when you find all these little things. So we'll turn this into a bathroom one day, but for now, we're gonna store our round tables in here. There we go. Look at that, all 4 of them. We could keep going up. We could put a lot of tables in here, couldn't we? Yeah, it's nice to have it clean. Lots of storage in a big house like this.
So the nice thing about living somewhere longer, especially when you can focus on household things rather than just things that have to happen in order for our sessions to go well. This bush by the back door was growing way out of control. You can see one little guy at the top, as you may have remembered. So I did this one over here. He's looking much better away from the rose bush now without competing with him all the way around, which is nice. And his shape's coming along nicely. I think it's much better. And this one now. The funny thing is, you know, whenever I've cut these before, they've been very aromatic, like they smell lovely. And I kind of just dismissed it for whatever reason. But you know what? It occurred to me, I do believe these are bay leaves, which is funny because I have enough bay leaves now. I could probably sell them. That's how many we have. But I am, however, going to bring some in and dry them. So I brought in a few of these, and I'll keep picking them off the stems, and then we'll dry some, and I will literally have plenty for a very long time. And that's kind of exciting nonetheless. I don't use bay leaves a ton, but there's no question I will have plenty in case anybody needs some.
There's always a variety of jobs that we have to do when we're in the chateau. Now, at some point in this last term, we had one of our cooks pushed just a little too far on this, maybe. It's hard to know what exactly happened. And the middle thing got jammed in. We couldn't get it out for anything. So, you know, it's one of those things where you just don't have time to work on it. when the session is, but you're like, oh, this is probably gonna take 5 minutes. And sure enough, well, it took more like 20 minutes, but you just get on the internet and you see how it's built and you see what part goes through another. And ultimately we just grabbed the wrench and we unscrewed it, and then we just yanked it real hard and it came out. I think there was maybe some kind of, I don't know, like rope or something that got pulled down in with it, so that when this thing was in, it just would not come out. Like you could not pull it out by your hand. So anyways, a little brute force did the trick, and we tightened her back up and ready to go. Leslie's doing the endless job.
That's for sure.
After the students leave, endless job. Washing, drying, ironing. How many hours do you think?
Don't know.
Days, weeks?
I don't know.
Yeah, it goes a long time. Well, we've probably said this many times, but with a big project like this, you just have to take every win you can and enjoy it. And so I'm taking the win. This hedge is coming back. Remember those worms? They almost killed the whole thing, and we cut half of it off. And it's coming back. I got out there with the hedge trimmer today and the edger and fixed it up a little bit, and it is looking great. So very thankful it came back. Okay, it's second reflection story time. I'm sitting on this side now because it's such a beautiful chateau. I don't want to sit right in the middle. You can't see it. That's no fun. So I'm gonna try to sit off to the side here. Actually, I like the other side. I'm going back to this side. There we go. That feels better. We've been also really lucky this last couple of years to have a few people that have come alongside and helped us, both in terms of sending students to us and some like physically getting out here and cutting down trees and stuff, and some have supported us financially, which has been such an unexpected blessing is the right word, because as I've mentioned many times, we went into this not thinking we were gonna ask for money or even like we weren't going to become a nonprofit or anything. Didn't even do our 501c3 application. And then people started coming along and say, hey, we like what you're doing. We want to help you out. And so we've been super fortunate. In fact, we've had a couple good friends help us significantly with the roof, which is incredible. And so, as I've been talking to some of my close friends and just giving updates to people, most of the people are pretty happy for us. And I go, oh, that's great, and I've had a couple friends or coworkers that are kind of like, hey, can you send those donors our way? Because we'd like to, have that support. And I get that. I smile and I nod. In fact, even I've had a couple friends that aren't running nonprofits that just are living their life and would like to go on trips or do fun things. And they're like, man, I sure wish I had someone, who's a supporter. And so I was sitting there and I'm kind of listening. I'm like, yeah, but you have to have a mission. Like you have to, for people to come around and support, they have to see that you're trying to do something for the world. Like nobody's interested in sponsoring you to just have fun and live a luxurious life and be lazy. I think people when they see you working, like when they see what you're doing and they believe that your intentions are pure and they see that your work is effective, I think then they want to come alongside. It's kind of back to that story where I was talking about the guy who didn't want to, set up chairs for his own event. If you're not willing to believe in your event and your thing that you're running, why should other people, right? And so that's kind of always been Leslie and our strategy is, we believe in what we're doing. Whether it was when we worked at camp with kids or we're in churches or teaching, classes to college students, we believe in the importance of what we're doing and we're willing to sacrifice for it. And when you do that, people come along with you. It's incredible. If you're hearing this and you run a nonprofit, I think that's the secret, right? Like, it's make the thing not about you, and try to make the world a better place, and then people will hear, and they'll come along with you. It's not a slick sales pitch. It's truth, and reality. Now, I will also say a couple things that have really helped us. YouTube has helped us. Thank you guys for watching these videos. Again, a little bit unexpected. We kind of thought people might be interested, so we started putting it on YouTube. We've been blown away by how many people have watched it. So thanks for watching. And it's not a ton of income that comes from YouTube or anything. Like I think a bad month, this last bad month was, we didn't put very many videos, maybe just a couple $100. We'll take it. But sometimes more when we have more videos. But what the beauty of YouTube is, it allows people to kind of hear from you, and you can talk directly, and they can, you know, form their own opinions on what you're doing. And not everybody will judge you correctly. Like, you guys are very good to us. Like, we have so many nice comments, and we're very thankful for them. Occasionally we kind of get hater comments. If they're funny enough, I leave them, but if they're nasty, I usually delete them. I've probably deleted 10 comments, maybe 15 in a couple of years. So not too many, but there's definitely some. But you know what, just, you know, if you're running a nonprofit and you're trying to do something for the world, my advice would be, you know, get on YouTube and tell people what you're doing, and tell your story, and be honest, and then see if people come around. I think the second secret, if you're trying to do this kind of thing, like let's say you're a missionary, or you're like, I don't know, a youth worker, or running some other kind of nonprofit, famine relief, something like that. I think sacrifice is helpful. Like, if you're willing to personally sacrifice, I guess I sort of already said this. If you're willing to personally sacrifice, people are more willing to come along with you, right? Like, and again, we're not tooting our own horn here, but for what it's worth, you know, so the fact that we don't get paid is fantastic, because then people are kind of like, oh, they're not just trying to, you know, build a kingdom for themselves. They're trying to do something good, he says, with his castle in the background. Well, of course, as you know, and I've probably said this many times, usually buying a chateau in France, not a great financial move, because they don't appreciate typically, and Lord knows they break down and they cost a lot of money. So all that to say, if you're out there, go, you know, take some risks, go out there and try some things, be honest with people, get on there and tell your story. And also a big thank you to some of the folks that have helped us. It was extremely unexpected. And there's stories. I wish I could tell them. You know, usually people want privacy, so you can't really talk about it too much, but we've had a couple of people be super helpful to us. And potentially another one this summer as well, which is extremely exciting, but I can't really tell you about it. The whole idea of faith is believing that, it's not necessarily believing that the outcome is going to be the way you want it to be, that the story is going to end as you would write it, but faith is believing that what you're doing is important and it's worth a shot. And for the Christian like myself, you know, the belief that God is in control and he can do whatever he wants. He can cause us to succeed, and that's great, or he may not, and we may fail, and that's okay too, but we're going to do it either way. And so that's a good thing, but it's a scary thing, right? All right, check out these cool pictures. I was, you know, talking to some of the Loire Valley students we had this year, and they had created a Google place where everybody put their pictures. And so I was looking through them, and there's some great pictures. And so I uploaded them to my Facebook. And one of our friends out here in France actually wrote a quick note and said, hey, it's just awesome to see the community of learning. And you look at the smiles on these guys' faces, and it's obvious they're having a great time, which was kind of funny, because at the same time I was looking at YouTube comments. And again, most of our YouTube comments are great. And there was one person who's kind of like, do you guys even have students? You know, is this just like an advertisement? Are you trying to sell the chateau? And I'm like, no, we're not trying to sell the chateau. Of course, they probably haven't watched our videos, but you know, I thought, you know what? I'm putting these pictures up. I'm putting them up, and you can see them and enjoy them in case you haven't seen one of, you know, the highlight videos from our 5 sessions we've done. These are the group pictures, and man, oh man, we have fun eating in the chateau and walking around and having, you know, playing games and so many different things. So enjoy, and yeah. We got to talk about this too. We've been looking for a piano. Leslie and I both play, and of course we have lots of, as a Christian group, we have lots of singing and worship and stuff. So we've been looking for a piano to put in the chateau, and Leslie saw this beauty on Le Bon Coin. So tempting. Now probably we need to focus on the roof, but someday there will be a beautiful grand piano in the grand salon. Green even. Okay, we're going to Beaufort, to our favorite brocante, to go find some legs for that table to make it strong. But we figured, why not come early and check out a restaurant? So here we are in the Avion. The restaurant is open and we got in, which is great. So one thing we love about France is you can always get the craft dough. And it's free, there's no charge, no tip, no hidden fees like Italy. France is great that way. We just decided to order one of each thing. Yum. Well guys, this looks great. You got the appetizers out, the entree. And what do I have? some type of salad.
Country salad.
Country salad. Looks like there's quite a bit of
Meat.
in there. I mean,
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Melon and prosciutto.
Yeah, prosciutto and melon is a fantastic combination, and that looks great. And of course, some nice little bread too.
Oh yeah.
Bon appetit. Okay, Leslie's telling me I gotta eat slower, and so let's focus on the salad. Salad's very good. What we have here are mushrooms, a bit of tomato, and quite a bit of lightly cooked bacon, lardon. I was wondering what meat that was. And also a little egg. Very tasty. Ooh, the main courses here. Looks terrific. This is a filet mignon, a little bit of pork, and then what is that rice, do you think?
Looks like couscous.
Couscous.
Some kind of little frittata.
And then maybe a frittata. And then here we have a Caesar salad.
Look at all the chicken and the eggs.
Looks terrific. So this is gonna be really good. Now we just ordered one of each all the way down, and in the best world we'd each eat half of each, but we'll see. And to finish it off, I forgot to take a video, but it's crepes. Look at that. Leslie got a chocolate crepe. I got caramel. Yum. Ooh, and a cafe. Ooh. Hard not to get a coffee. It was only $1. We're on camera now.
Literally, it was romping across the back.
Look, let's put Leslie on
And that
camera.
wasn't a cat.
Yeah, there you go. We'll put you on camera.
Okay, you're on camera.
Yeah, but I'm not camera ready. So, guys, thanks for coming out to the video today. We're pretty cash. We're feeling pretty cash. And
It's an evening. We're tired.
it's Leslie sitting in front of a bunch of broken rock. Look at that, eh?
Aww.
Oh man, that took a beat. Is that worse than normal? Look over there.
No.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
I know.
and there again, there's the rock that fell down over here.
I know.
It happens.
Okay.
That one broke.
I'm curious about what is running around in the back of the property.
Leslie wants to know what's running around in the back of the property. And but anyways, thanks for joining us. We're gonna try to get one video up a week, and we're gonna have them in the can so that you can hopefully watch into the fall too. So thanks for coming with us today. We'll see you later.